So 2 weeks ago, on June 11th, 2022, we uploaded a video on this YouTube channel talking about Nick Kypreos, Bob McCown, and John Shannon, what they were discussing on their show. They talked about the Vancouver Canucks and the notion that Jim Rutherford really does not like the room. This video was going over the comments made talking about how apparently the Vancouver Canucks locker room is a country club. And the video that I made was pretty much saying, hey, this is not a good thing, like this is a bad thing that is being acknowledged here, that the Vancouver Canucks apparently have such a lax atmosphere in their room that it's almost like a lot of the players don't really take it all too seriously. You go to a country club to have fun, to chill out with the boys, chill out with the girls, chill out with the homies, the friends, the fam. You have a good time at a country club. And hearing that an NHL locker room is like that, it's not a good thing, because it kind of showcases the lack of, let's just say, commitment that some of these players might have. Now, a lot of the comments on that video were saying, oh, Lego, it's actually a really good thing that this kind of thing is being publicized, because now we know that Jim Rutherford, who does not like this country club kind of vibe, is going to change it up. He's going to make the necessary moves to make sure that heading into next season, the team does not act like a country club anymore. They'll likely try to be a lot more professional with it. Now, there were a few other interesting comments that were also in the comment section too, talking about how there are some players on the team, like JT Miller, Connor Garland, Luke Shen, etc., that, hey, maybe these guys didn't really thrive in that kind of country club, everybody's all buddy-buddy, let's just hang out and chill vibe. You have some players like JT Miller that would call out the team certain days, saying things like, what the F are we doing in practice, etc. These are moments that you can kind of pinpoint the pieces towards and say, hey, maybe there's a bigger picture here that we're not really seeing just yet. Which is why I wanted to go over an interview that was done on Donnie and Dhali a few days ago. Now, this insider is not really a guy that you would immediately think is an insider, but the more you think about who this person is and who they're connected to, it makes a lot of sense that this guy is, at least on the Canucks side of things, somewhat of an insider. Today we're talking about Michael Buble. Yeah, the Christmas guy, the haven't met you yet guy, the pop jazz singer-songwriter who is very famous all over the world. He's from Burnaby, and a lot of Canucks fans know that Michael Buble loves the Canucks as much as a lot of us do as well. He hangs out around the team, he's practiced with the team before, he still contributes to the team's fundraisers and stuff, he does social media stuff with the team, he sung holiday songs with Elias Pettersson in front of the Canucks house, which is pretty cool. But Michael Buble had an appearance on Donnie and Dhali the other day, and what this Reddit user did, Gangren Machine, was they summarized all the quotes and they wrote it out here on the Canucks subreddit. Now, this video, I'm saying, is a direct response to what we talked about a few weeks ago, saying that the Canucks locker room is like a country club, because when you come over to what Michael Buble has to say, it appears that there are some very positive things that have gone on, not just since Jim Rutherford took over, but when Bruce Boudreau took over as well. This is the title of the post. Michael Buble gives some insights into the Canucks locker room change post-December 21. Here are some of the quotes that Buble has to say when it comes to this team. Listen, I'm friends with a lot of these guys, and I can tell you this, it's fun coming to the rink. They like hockey again. So many times I would talk to so many people about this, including Francesco. I would say, you don't have a hockey problem. I think it's a people problem. It's not to say we had bad people, just, you know, the environment for a bunch of young kids is massive, and it's all a confidence game. When you're confident, you're unstoppable. Now, firstly, I love how he said that last part, very pop star music-esque thing to say, but this is also what I was talking about too. Michael Buble has direct consultations and conversations with players and Aquilini himself. And if he's telling them straight up, yeah, it's a people problem, not necessarily a hockey problem, I know he's not necessarily doing this directly, but he's sort of pointing the finger at the recently fired Benning and co. Maybe even Travis Green, maybe even some other executives like Weisbrod that were tossed in there as well. When Rutherford says the team is like a country club, or when Nick Kypreos says that the team is like a country club, maybe they're referring to the vibe of the team before Bruce came along. Because Michael Buble says this, there's a lot to be said for coming to the rink, and I can say this unequivocally. I know that the difference between the day Boudreau was hired and the day that he came, it couldn't have been more night and day. It's the style of management Mr. Rutherford brings as opposed to Benning. I think it was a far more personal thing. I think, even knowing that a guy like Stan Smyl, who is, not just a beautiful human being, but really a tremendous leader who leads by his actions, I think the first thing he did was went down to all those guys and just told them what they meant to him, to the team, and that they mattered, and that this was a family. Now, I just want to pause the quotes right here. Steamer is an absolute beauty, and everybody has been so impressed, myself included, by Steamer and everything that he has been saying ever since being promoted to a more front office... Okay, no, that's the wrong way to say it. He's always been in a front office role, but ever since Rutherford, Alvin, Boudreau came in, you're seeing a lot more out of the executives up front. You're seeing a lot more hirees. You're seeing a lot more people come on board. Castonguay, Granado, Rachel Dory, all the recent hires that we had the other day, and Dale Talon and Crawford, plus the Sedins being promoted too. You have a lot of people being brought on board, and a president of hockey operations that's going out there and doing interviews once in a while with the media, saying what's up with the team, going over how things are being done. When Benning and co were here, these roles that all these newer people have on the team were still needing to be fulfilled, meaning that you had just an overflux of jobs in comparison to the amount of people working on the team. Once Benning and his entire staff was gone, hey, guess what? Rutherford's hiring 2 assistant GMs, he's hiring a new video coach, he's hiring these new analytics people, he's hiring a whole bunch of people that are being given roles that were unbalanced throughout the previous regime. Having more smart, respectable, and knowledgeable hockey people at the table to contribute ideas is positive. It's a good thing for building a bigger environment where there's more responsibility divided up into different parts, and it does not lead to people stressing out or maybe missing a detail here or there, overworking themselves. You have a good system. Steamer's on top of that. And Michael Buble says this, that directive, it comes from Francesco in a big way, because he cares about those guys as human beings. And it's so funny, as fans, it's so easy to, we always talk about the owners, and it's easy to rip on all these people. We're lucky, man. We've got a good ownership team, and we have a good management team. Now, I will say this before we go over to the last quote. Michael Buble's video interview is available on Twitter. I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description if you want to go ahead and watch it, but Francesco Aquilini did retweet this video and said some positive things about Buble because Buble said positive things about Francesco. And I don't want to get all conspiracy on you or anything, but if this is the case where Francesco the entire time was super willing to hire some new voices, get some more people on board, and have a system that is as fine-tuned as the Canucks are right now, part of me says maybe it's not Francesco Aquilini who had a change of heart after firing Benning and firing Green. He hired on Rutherford, and all of a sudden, Rutherford's like, we need more assistant GMs, we need more analytics people, we need more video people, and Francesco is like, okay, fine, I wouldn't have done this before, but because we fired Benning, now it's okay. Part of me believes maybe it was just Benning himself that just didn't want these guys. Maybe after the Trevor Linden fallout, maybe Benning and the rest of that regime was just kind of like, okay, well, let's just balance all of these tasks ourselves. I'll be in charge of contract management, contract negotiations, cap management, and all that, and this other person will be involved in all these other departments. Maybe if Benning went to Aquilini and said, hey, could we hire some more assistant GMs? We need more voices in the room. Can we hire some more analytics people? Can we hire this? Can we hire that? Maybe Aquilini would have been like, okay. Because Buble is talking about this in such a way that says that Aquilini is completely on board with hiring new names. Maybe a part of that has to do with the fact that they fired Benning and they had to get rid of their former regime. Maybe that's been the case all along. We may never know. The final point here that Buble makes is that I can tell you, just the facts are that the players are happy. They're happy to be here. They want to be here. And I think that change in environment is so good for us as a fan base because players from other cities hear about that. And trust me, that gets around. When the environment is like that and there's that kind of support, players want to come, they want to be a part of it, they want to play with this young core, and they want to be a part of that fun and that joy. Maybe Andrei Kuzmenko listened to this Buble interview before popping in his Haven't Met You Yet song and, the Christmas album as well. By the way, he does have some very good albums. It's Time is one of my favorites, not gonna lie. But it's just really interesting to note how Michael Buble, of all people, local insider Michael Buble has come out there and pretty much contradicted the entire idea that Kypreos had on his show with Bob McCown. Or, excuse me, it's not his show, it's the Bob McCown show. Kypreos was just a guest, where they talked about how the Canucks are like a country club and how Rutherford really doesn't like the room. Maybe that reputation has just been carried over from the previous regime, which is now just being confronted by Rutherford, but is also getting steps taken towards changing it. Michael Buble, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know in the comments your thoughts about what he has to say about the Canucks locker room, whether you think he is right, he is wrong, do you see any noticeable changes, and if so, what are you looking for the most as the next few months come along? Links to the video as well as the article for the quotes are going to be in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.